Talking head. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a breaking news edition of Talking Dolphins. I'm Bobby Finstock, joined by Steve Real Talk Malloy. And your eyes are not deceiving you. This is not a joke. Finstanza is in the house. They have brought him back like the Undertaker from the grave to talk some Dolphins. Blockbuster trade by the Miami Dolphins, sending Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to the Pittsburgh Steelers for All-Pro Safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 5th-round pick. So, of course, we're going to react to that crazy breaking news. And then also, what's next for the Dolphins? Because it is in the press, Miami is not done. Before we get into that, so I'm going to start off with Finstanza since it's been a little while. Evan, what's up, my man?
I'm doing great. I'm keeping super busy. I'm following everything, but dad life has taken over me until late last week with baseball, dance, activities, graduations. Life just gets in the way. I'm watching everything. I'm listening to everything, but it's just been insane. Coached my kid to a baseball championship. That was fun. Good competitions where my kids did really well, but I'm following everything. I've been super into the hockey stuff. Congratulations to the Panthers. I haven't said that live. I must tell you, on a side note, we're talking Dolphins, how the heck Bill Zito is able to re-sign Bennett, just re-sign Ekblad. He's about to, I guarantee you, Marshawn will be back. What he's been able to do with that team, no offense, my team, my local team stole the weekend before draft because the Canadians did something great. We're here to talk Dolphins, but I'm just telling you, hockey is also doing craziness because tomorrow's free agency there also. But what does Chris Greer do? We've always questioned the man about his drafting and his coaching selections. But the one thing this guy does really well is the man makes really good trades. And when I saw today that he made the trade, I go, whatever. Then when I saw what his return was, I go, we can't knock this guy all the time. You can knock him for a lot of things. You can't knock him for his trade capabilities. The guy knows how to make trades and doesn't get fleeced when he does it. So I've been watching all of you guys. It's great. I hope to be back soon. Greg wants to do a show later this week. We're going to make it happen. So we'll go from there.
There you go. And then we'll go Steve Malloy. Steve, brother. First off, Steve, thank you for, and same thing with Fitzstanza. I messaged both of you. I was at the doctor. I was like, hey, you guys want to do a show later? And separately, you're like, we'll make it happen. So Steve, first, thank you, my man. I know how busy you are. Thank you for coming on. Steve, of course, host of Real Talk Fins Talk here on FTSN and on FTSN Extra, Aging and Strong, which is going on its 3rd episode this weekend. Awesome 2nd episode. Awesome interview. Steve, how the heck are you? And your instant reaction to this trade.
Well, I'm going to give an instant reaction to it. It's actually going on my 4th episode.
Oh, 4th
of Aging and Strong. I had an episode this last Friday with Andy Baker, who's the author of Barbell Prescription, and very good in-depth conversation with him on folks that are trying to get strong as we age, and it's very important and critical. Especially for folks in their 50s and 60s, 70s to get strong. And so it was a great conversation. You can go to Fins Extra. It's still up there, Fins Talk Sports Extra, and check out that conversation with Andy Baker, renowned strength and conditioning coach and author of Barbell Prescription. Well, my instant reaction to the trade with Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, I'm not real excited about it. I'm really not. Jalen Ramsey, he's a solid cornerback. Even though he was declining a little bit in his age and everything, he was still a solid cornerback for us last year. Now, I know his toxic attitude that he has, and he just doesn't want to be with the Miami Dolphins. And that's fine. I think Chris Greer did do the right thing by actually, trading for him. Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith was an All-Pro tight end for us last year. Okay, he was an All-Pro tight end for us last year. Granted, it was his first year of being an All-Pro, but he had a great year. He was great for Tua, for that safety net for him. They traded him to Pittsburgh as well, along with Ramsey, and they got a 5th-round pick in return. And I think they gave up. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, in return, they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick in a 7th rounder in 2020 for 2027. Both of the picks, the 5th and the 7th, are for 2020.
No, the Dolphins are getting the 5th. The Steelers are getting
Okay, maybe I mixed that up. My bad. Thank you, Evan, for correction. But anyway, I'm not really elated about it. It was I think Pittsburgh got the best bargain as far as the players are concerned. They got Aaron Rodgers going to be throwing to Jonnu Smith now, and they got Jalen Ramsey, who I think is a really good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. He's a roamer. He can go play cornerback. He can play safety. He can play in the box. Where Minkah Fitzpatrick is a one-trick pony. He's just a safety. He's going to be a free safety back there, and everything. And he doesn't play well in the box, and he doesn't play well at cornerback. He can't cover a one-on-one. And that's the reason why he had a terrible season last year. For him, was a very bad season for him last year as a safety, because they tried to do that with him over there in Pittsburgh. Now, if Weaver brings him over here and tries to do that with him, I don't think it's going to be a very good fit for the Miami Dolphins. As a free safety, yes, I think he's a good one-on-one comparison with Javon Holland, because they both had basically kind of like the same seasons as last year. So it's an even swap as far as that goes. And I still think Pittsburgh got the best end of the deal on that. Now, what I do like what Chris Gerd did, and I give him his flowers for this, is Pittsburgh Steelers have taken on that bulk of his salary, which is a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. And they weren't going to pay Jonnu Smith $12 million, because that's what he got going to Pittsburgh. They're paying him $12 million. Now, I know we're in the market. For now, we're in the market, basically, according to Tom Pellizzaro, we're in a tight end market. Who are we going to get as a tight end? Everybody says, oh, we're going to get, likely of the Baltimore Ravens. No, we're not getting likely for the Baltimore Ravens. He's their future, and he's going to cost a lot more money than Jonnu Smith would. Okay, at this point in time, Mark Andrews maybe, but Mark Andrews is making $10 million annual salary. We're going to pay him. That's only $2 million less than Jonnu. We didn't want to pay Jonnu, so you think we're going to go get Andrews? I don't think so. Now, I know Mayer's out there. He's okay. I mean, he's a good blocking tight end. Maybe if that's where we want to go, we can go there. And I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, he's not going to move the needle for me. But I think they're still going to. I think they're going to still use Achane as that pass catching receiver out of the backfield, which he can take some of Jonnu's receptions along with Malik Williams and Westbrook. They can all share and take in some of those passes from Tua. So I don't think it was a big loss for Jonnu Smith either, to be honest with you. So that's how I feel. I mean, I don't want to sound like the Debbie Downer, but I'm just being realistic. That's the way I see it.
So I will say, first off, breaking news with the Panthers. It looks like that the Florida Panthers are closing in on a 6-year extension, just under $32 million in total for Brad Marchand. My goodness, to bring back the 3 of those guys, Akblad, Bennett, and Marchand. Yeah, dude, it's a good time. You go suffer with Dolphins and all the heat and this and this, and thank God for the Florida Panthers. I mean, wow. So, however, I will say, when I saw Jalen Ramsey was finally traded, I will tell you, I let out. I was like, oh, finally, just let's end this. I was not expecting a player in return. I know a lot of people are like, okay, what did we get? I was expecting to see a 3rd, 4th round pick, 5th round pick at the bare minimum, which we did. We got a 5th round pick. When I saw that we got Minkah Fitzpatrick in a trade back for this return, that's where I felt even, I felt better about it because even if we traded him, it's like, okay, I didn't feel good about our secondary in the first place with Jalen Ramsey or not, because they weren't great last year. And and I don't want to say he was falling off a cliff. He wasn't, but he didn't have a very good year last year. But so I'm like, okay, you get rid of Ramsey. How are you going to supplant that? What's going to be our veteran back there? I don't expect anybody. They can't get anybody back. Oh, I know we talked about Asante Samuel and Rasul Douglas and whatever. For Pittsburgh, for Miami to come out and get not only Minkah Fitzpatrick, who he didn't have, obviously, you're right, he didn't have his best season last year, but still had 90 plus tackles, had an INT. He is a natural born leader in the locker room. They love him in Pittsburgh. People are pissed that he got traded away out of Pittsburgh. But obviously you can't have that. I guess the money wasn't working. I don't think he's that expensive. And like you said, not only did you got Jalen Ramsey off your book, they ate most of that deal, 25 plus million. Yep. Then you not only got Minkah back, or got Minkah to put in your secondary, and that kind of makes up for a loss of Ramsey, especially when it comes to leadership. But you also got and consistency. Minkah Fitzpatrick, he might not have these monster numbers. He was 50, 55, 54 PFF grade, something like that.
No, it was a higher. It was 68.4 overall.
Overall, okay. So
yeah,
that happens, right? But the one thing, if you look at his statistics and you look at him throughout his career, I mean, first off, just 2 seasons ago, he not last year, I think 3 seasons maybe, he had 6 INTs. He was a beast, okay, and he's a 5-time Pro Bowl, and he's still very young. So that's where I see it. And you eat the bulk of that deal. Plus, you got a 5th rounder back, so that's a middle in the pack 5th round pick that I actually thought, when I'm looking, I go, okay, this is a win. I feel as if it's a win for what could have been. Because if you would have just traded for a 3rd round pick, now you're like, I got 2 injury prone safeties that we don't know can stay healthy, with Austin Davis and Melifonwu.
Right.
A cornerback room that should scare the crap out of anybody who looks at it, because we don't know what those guys can do. We could pray that Jason Marshall is going to be a surprise, and we could hope and pray that Cam Smith finally shows up, but we don't know. But what we do know is what Minkah Fitzpatrick can do. A down year for him is a upgrade year for Cam Smith. If Cam Smith could play what Minkah did last year, we'd be, this is looking better than what we were hoping. Now, what's the scary part though? The scary thing is your tight end room. You trade Jonnu Smith. You didn't want to give him the deal. They decided, and I'm going to touch right on it right afterwards, and I'll let Fitzstanza respond. I know he's been inkling, he's already back to his old ways. He's ready to go. It's like, there's no dust, there's no rust. He's ready to go. But now that tight end room, Raheem Mostert came out right away and said, hey, go to a Pro Bowl, get treated like, and whatever. So, there's some butthurt feelings out there from Dolphin players, which is understandable, because we all said it when you're like, man, your most consistent player on offense next to Devon Achane is Jonnu Smith. If Miami had decided, hey, because we knew eventually, even fans knew, we knew, the 3 of us knew, that when you look at their contracts, you go, Jonnu's eventually going to ask for an extension or more money, especially when he was the number 1 tight end for Dolphins history to get yardage, touchdowns, receptions. They decided, hey, we're not going to extend him. They knew that before the draft. You still went out and got Pharaoh Brown. You didn't really address the tight end room. You didn't go and draft a good tight end. You kind of just went out. Now you're playing catch up. Now what helps you though too is that you got that extra cap, and maybe Miami turns around, and if they could come away with a Michael Mayer, right, who's a very good blocker and a decent pass catcher, who's sitting behind Brock Bowers in Las Vegas,
don't make Vogel happy.
That's not a bad move. Not a bad move at all. Then you're like, okay, kind of makes up for it, because we only had 1 year of Jonnu now. Or you brought up a couple of names with Baltimore. The other name, other than the Raiders, Michael Mayer, is Atlanta's Kyle Pitts. The only difference, Kyle Pitts is an offensive weapon. Only issue with Kyle Pitts, he's not that much of a blocker. So
he's a diva too.
I don't know if he's a diva.
He would be another problem child.
We already have a lot of those. I mean, they love him.
That's what I'm saying.
But
stay away from Kyle Pitts.
If Miami could come out with a tight end, a decent tight end, and they've shown they could use him now, then it doesn't look as bad. I understand the reservations and but my thing is, how good was Ramsey last year? He wasn't. It wasn't the same. He didn't do anything for Miami. But his name is enough. We believe he could be better, right? If he would have came back next year, you trust him because it's Jalen Ramsey. That's how I feel about Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick, a consistent player. He's a leader in the locker room. He's older. Look what he's one of the most consistent performers on defense for Pittsburgh. And I think that's good for Miami. We'll see. I don't know what his contract situation looks like, but I think it was a very good return for Miami. Evan, I know you've been biting your tongue.
Okay.
What's on your mind, brother?
The fact that a player who wants nothing to do with this football team, who is a diva in himself because of the guy I've been telling you would ruin this team for 4 seasons, the fact that you got a player back who's an All-Pro and you got a 5th-round pick back versus you traded a guy who didn't want to be here and a guy who at $12 million, not this year, next year, when Aaron Rodgers won't even be there, they're going for it all this year. We weren't giving him an extension with a $12 million hit next year. We'll never do that in Miami. We tried to do that with the franchise tag with Gesicki, and look what happened there. We're freaking out over the fact that I'm not looking at the record. Does this make the Dolphins better? I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it from the perspective that I believe Anthony Weaver is a great defensive coordinator, and his secondary was a mess. You had a player that didn't want to be there, and the concern right now, corner. The concern was also the safety position, and you now just went to solidify your safety position where you can still go get someone else, but you now have more confidence in your safety position. Even with Jalen Ramsey out the door, we were convinced we were going to be depleted completely in the secondary. We were going to be turned to shreds no matter what. And now you just got back an All-Pro who is signed for this year, is signed for next year, but he's not guaranteed. So if he doesn't ball out this year, you can cut him for nothing. You can gain a lot of cap space with him. Yeah. And if he does well mid-year and he wants to stay in Miami and you re-sign him and extend him because he's still young, you'll get even more cap space. So remember, the Dolphins were in cap hell at the beginning of this season, and now they're in cap heaven again. The fact that I don't care what Chris Grier is as a general manager. He makes good trades. I think it's great what he did today. If he goes to get to Michael Mayer, Kyle Pitts, whatever, I'll be happy with whoever they sign, because for me, no matter what, it doesn't matter if Tua's healthy. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm comfortable with Weaver. McDaniel's my problem. So in the end, I think Akine is going to cover for what Jonnu Smith was. I don't believe that Grier is done because Grier now has cap space. I believe at the end he's going to go get a Gilmore or an Asante. I don't care if they're good or not. He's going to go get veterans. He's going to end. I guarantee you, by the time the season starts, on the corner position, whether it's a Rasul Douglas, whether it's an Asante Samuel, whether it's a Stephon Gilmore, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 more veterans in the corner position, no matter what. And he will go get an established tight end, whether it is. I think someone even made the joke that Gesicki was a free agent. I'm not sure if he is, but wouldn't it be funny if he went back and got Gesicki and ran it all back? But Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to play the position he wants to play. Pittsburgh, I believe, lost his trade for one reason only. Everyone thinks, because they got Aaron Rodgers. Do we know how bad Aaron Rodgers was last year with the team he had? He had one of the top defenses in the NFL. He had Garrett Wilson. He had every one of his friends. He had Breece Hall, and he couldn't do nothing with the Jets.
Now he beat the Dolphins.
Who cares? The Dolphins weren't trying on that day. But you have to understand, I'm not saying that the Dolphins are better.
He beat the Dolphins. That's all that counts. We got to play Pittsburgh this year, too.
So what? The Dolphins, right? The Steelers right now.
Tell me so what when we play them in the cold.
I let you talk. Don't interrupt me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to. I had to do that.
By the way, the secondary now, the safety position and the corner position of Pittsburgh right now is actually not good right now. They're relying on an older guy. Everyone was talking about he was going to go to the Chargers and go to the Rams. People last night that there has to be 2 teams. The fact that he got value back for for Jalen Ramsey is great. The fact that he got the value for even a fifth-round pick for Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith is no guarantee. I think Jonnu Smith was a result of Mike McDaniel not knowing what to do when Tua was injured, and he checked down and he went to his most guaranteed receiver because he had Tyreek and Waddle running forever, and they couldn't get the ball to him because they didn't have quarterbacks to get them the ball. In the end, the Dolphins, I have a lot of faith in the Dolphins right now with McDaniel as our head coach and how it's constructed. No, but are the Dolphins better than I expected post Jalen Ramsey trade? Yes, because I believe that whoever they go get to replace Ramsey in the corner position, plus Minkah, plus the tight end, will be better than having Jonnu and Jalen Ramsey on this football team. I truly actually believe that. I'm not right now. I am fine with what they did today. I am very happy with the results of today. In the end, we got an all-pro safety. We got a guy who didn't want to be here, a guy who wanted more money for an all-pro safety who we have control over right now for the next 2 years, and we have cap space. In the end, I don't care what anybody else has to say. That's how I feel. For a guy who's been quiet about the Dolphins for the last 2 or 3 months, I'm proud of what Chris Grier did today because he did something right. We all talk about at the beginning of the draft, Greg, Brett, that they all, what do we have to worry about? More, we worry about the lines and all that. The safety position. Right now, people are now more nervous about the center field position of the Miami Dolphins. And I'm trying to tell you this, he's better than Javon Holland. So right now, our safety room is better than it was at the beginning of last season. Our safety room is better right now than it was last season. Now, the corner position will never be. But who knows? They want to run it back. You never know if Xavier want to come back. You don't know what's going to happen. Xavier is working out. Xavier wants to play football this year. Who knows what they could figure out with him? They now have cap space. With Gilmore, if someone told you today, by the beginning of the season, that they go get Michael Mayer, they go get Xavier Howard, they go get Stephon Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, or Asante Samuel Jr., and all of a sudden you have Minkah, Asante, or Rasul, and Xavier, and Michael Mayer, our team is better than it was previously. Jonnu Smith has bounced from team to team to team to team. Even if he had an off season last year, Minkah is still an all-pro football player, more than once, a multiple Pro Bowler. In the end, the Dolphins are better today based on what we knew the situation was going to be than they were because now they have cap space. They gained a draft pick in 2 years from now, and they got rid of players they didn't want to spend money on and the player who didn't want to be here. So in the end, as long as McDaniel's our coach, our team is better now than we were yesterday. I'm totally fine with it.
So, losing Jonnu doesn't bother you at all. Losing what Jonnu did last year,
okay. Zero, because Akine could do it, and I believe they're going to go get a tight end who is equivalent or better to Jonnu. Jonnu had one good year. We talk about Tua. Oh, he had one great year. One hit wonder doesn't make a difference to me. Jonnu was a result of the fact that Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were not getting the football last year. And it was the Devon Achane and Jonnu Smith show. We know for a fact that this season, that ain't happening again. There's no way McDaniel is going to survive the season if he does not get Tyreek and Jalen the ball again this year. The team, if Tua's healthy for all 16, 17 games, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will go back to 2023 numbers, no matter what. Jonnu Smith was going to be a fourth option on this team because I believe that Achane, Waddle, Hill, and probably even Akine were going to be more useful unless they go get a Kyle Pitts or they go get. I just believe that he's not worth $12 million on this football team. I'm sorry, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in win now mode. They made their team much older today. It's hit or miss. If they're going to be in crapola situation if they don't win this year, because they're not going to have a quarterback next year. Who are they going to go get? So in the end, the Dolphins, all I can tell you is the way Chris Grier is acting right now, he's safe. I want to tell you guys all this right now. Chris Grier will be your general manager, unless we go 1-15, 1-16, Chris Grier is your general manager in 2026. Straight up. The only person who's on the hot seat right now is Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is they gave him an extension. If he starts off poorly, Anthony Weaver will be our head coach. Chris Grier right now is not going anywhere. I'm convinced of that with the trades he's been able to make, especially the trade he made today. Mike McDaniel is the only one who has to worry right now. Chris Greer is fine. As long as we think he is, he salvaged something today. A lot of people thought he was going to get maybe like you said, a 4th rounder, a 5th rounder straight up for Ramsey, and we would have been in shit. Right now, we're better in the secondary now than we ever thought we would be. Not even close than what we thought. We thought we were going to be stuck with Ashton Davis and Alfanu and McMorris.
Yeah.
We have Minkah Fitzpatrick right now for the next 2 years if we want him, and we can extend him.
And he played 17 games last year.
He's healthy too.
96 total tackles, 62 solo tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 INT for 25 yards, 4 pass deflections.
Pittsburgh was a good loss.
Yeah, but still, I mean, and of course you go the year. What's it? 22. So the 2 years ago, in 22 or 3 years ago, 96 total tackles, 6 interceptions, and 124 tackles the year before that. I mean, he's young.
Bobby, he has to
28 years old.
Bobby, he has to play well this year, or he's not going to get another good contract. If he's not guaranteed any money past this season. If he doesn't have a great season this year, he's not going to get 20. If he has a phenomenal season this year, there'll be a $20 million safety next year. If he doesn't, there'll be a $10 million safety next year. He literally has, because he had a sort of an off year last year compared to his previous year. If he doesn't ball out this year, we can cut him with no cap restrictions. We owe him nothing. And I don't care. People seem to forget this. We got Jalen Ramsey off this team, and we didn't have to. We were maybe eating $1 million worth of it. And how the heck did he get a raise for the season? Like, he got a raise. Like, the fact that we got him off our books for hardly anything, is incredible. I don't care. Bradley. What's his name? Is it Bradley Beal? Bradley Bean? What's his name? What's our guy? What's the guy's
Bradley
name?
Chubb?
The general.
Brandon Shore. Brandon
Shore did wizardry today with the cap. They have tons of cap. They have 30 million, even with even keeping his contract. They almost have $20 million worth of cap space. Mm-hmm. They can go sign whoever they want.
So let me just say, because the 2 names that I've heard the most with Miami, and that doesn't mean that's going to happen in regard to the tight end spot. So Michael Mayer is 23 years old. 6'4", 265. Obviously very young. He's sitting back there in a lot of, only played 2 seasons. Last year had 156 yards and no touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns last year. And then Kyle Pitts, the other one, who obviously he's just, he's a receiver in a tight end, 6'6", 250. I mean, beast of a man. Only 24 years old. Last year he had 47 receptions, 602 yards, and 4 touchdowns in Atlanta. So, and obviously he's the one that, he was so hyped coming out of college and hasn't hit that potential, but still obviously lots of potential.
I'm not. Why do you want an angry Constanza? You wanted an angry. I would have been annoyed had he not gotten something. So in the end, be happy. Like I'll say, as long as McDaniel's our head coach, I'll be annoyed. But in the end, I'm happy for Anthony Weaver today because he literally would have been left with nothing back there. It would have been a joke. But in the end, the fact that they did this, the number, even more than anything, Bobby, more than anything, the fact that they have cap space now to go. I know there's nothing great, but they could still go make trades, and they could still go. Also, I don't know if you heard about this. TJ Watt's not very happy in Pittsburgh. There's been some weird stuff there too. Anything's possible. Chris Greer is good at making trades, and something is not done. He didn't do this with the. Remember, he told us not to worry. I think he's telling us not to worry. None of us, no one thought he was getting a player back today. Nobody, and he got an All-Pro under contract that they have full control over, who has to ball out.
I think that's fair. And I agree. No, I don't think anybody predicted Minkah Fitz when that trade got released, when it broke that, and shout out to Q for letting me know, because I was out and he texted me of College Blitz and the Hate Football podcast. When that initial trade came out, everybody was like, Pittsburgh, oh my God, look what they did. they have Jalen Ramsey and Minkah Fitzpatrick back there with Joey Porter Jr. and all this. And all of a sudden it got revealed that no, Minkah's being traded to Miami. And all of a sudden you hear, what the hell's Pittsburgh doing? Miami fleeced Pittsburgh, all that, blah, 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 blah. So obviously, this guy is very highly thought of around the league. Again, only 28 years old compared to Jalen, who's 30. That's not crazy, but still, it's going to be interesting to see how Miami responds and how Miami could, obviously they still got work to do in that defense, in that corner room. The safety position, absolutely heads and shoulders better than what it was last year. I mean, I don't think it's any type of controversy to say that Minkah is better than Javon Holland. What he could be
on drugs on social media. The people to say that, the Pittsburgh won this trade. The Dolphins, think about it. They're looking at it from a player to player. The Dolphins literally had no leverage, zero. Someone could have said, "I will give you a 5th round," and they would have had to hold out with Jalen. The fact that he got a player, Pittsburgh. Do people think that Aaron Rodgers is going to win them a Super Bowl? They had to beg. Literally, the guy, no one wanted him at the end of the season. The Jets didn't even want him. And who's he throwing? Because now he has DK Metcalf. Oh, phenomenal. DK Metcalf all of a sudden in Seattle fell off a cliff for 2 seasons with Jonnu Smith. People seem to forget Aaron Rodgers it's not Tom Brady. He's not. The guy played last year as a 40-something-year-old. He's no star anymore. I don't care what anybody says. The guy is not a star. Who's already? I have no faith in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are old now. They're like the Dolphins of last year. They're old. I have no. They're trying to win this year. In what division? Even with getting Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith today, I'd rather be the Bengals. I'd rather be the Ravens. I'd rather be the Chargers. I'd rather be the Chiefs. They're still, even with this signing today, they're still a 6th or 7th place team in this division, in this conference. They ain't winning the division. They're going to get smashed by Baltimore. They're going to get smashed by Cincinnati. They're still the 3rd or 4th best team in the AFC North after this trade.
That's a pretty tough division, though.
They are not. Yeah, they're not. There was not a chance.
That's a hell of a
This is
division.
the same fan base that built a billboard near the stadium that they want Mike Tomlin out. How many of us right now, Steve, even in your storm, even if in your storm, you would get in your car, you would drive to Fort Lauderdale Airport, or you probably drive to Pittsburgh and pick up Mike Tomlin and drive him to Florida if they fired him. This is the Pittsburgh fan base. You think we're bad? They want Tomlin fired.
Yeah, I know.
Well, all of us would run to the airport to pick him up.
Yeah, for sure.
So Pittsburgh, I have no faith in. I think, by the way, I don't think Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin are going to get along this year. I think it's going to be a mitigated disaster in Pittsburgh. Oh, this is the first trade I think Pittsburgh and Miami's ever made.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember one. I don't remember one
ever between these two franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask. I have to ask for See, that's the thing that most people hate is that trade for Jonnu. But Steve, I have to ask you, listening to Finstanza and listening to his counterpoints, is there anything in you going, maybe I didn't think about it that way? Are you leaning on? Are you still in your like? I'm not too good with the trade, or are you like seeing another point of view?
No, I'm happy for the trade in that respect that I mentioned is the Jalen Ramsey. We got him off the books. And he was toxic in the Miami organization, right? So I'm happy about that. Jonnu Smith, I'm really not that disappointed that we traded him. Like I said, and Finn Stanza made this point. You got Achane, you got Westbrook, back there. There's probably, and maybe even Malik, right, catching some of those passes that Jonnu caught. So I'm not really disappointed in that respect. I still think that Pittsburgh got a good deal. Okay. I mean, I really do. I think Jalen Ramsey is a really good fit over there in Pittsburgh. He's a dog, right? He's a dog. He was a dog in Miami, and he's going to be a dog in Pittsburgh, and he fits right into that Tomlin defense, that Mike Tomlin defense. And he's flexible enough where he can move around, and he has no problem with that. Where if you all recall, when Brian Flores was here, and it's ironic that he coached him in Pittsburgh as too for that 1 year. When Brian Flores was here, Micah was complaining because he was being moved around. He was playing corner. He was playing safety. He was playing in the box. He was moved around. He didn't like that. They did the same thing to him in Pittsburgh. And guess what? Now he's with Miami again. Now, is Weaver gonna do the same thing they did in Pittsburgh, or is he just gonna keep him there as a free range safety? I think that's his best fit for this team. Is he a step up or better than Javon Holland? Yeah, you have to say he is. He is. He is a step up. But is he going to move the needle for this Miami Dolphins defense? No, he's not. He's not. And I don't know how anybody can sit here in their right mind and say that Miami's a better team than they were the year before last, or even last year. There's no freaking way, man. If you think Kenneth Grant is going to come out like Calais Campbell, remember, guys, we lost Calais Campbell, we lost Kendall Fuller, who was solid at cornerback. Calais Campbell filled in Chris Wilkins' shoes, played just as good, okay, alongside Zach Sealer, okay. We lost Anthony Walker. Wait a minute, let me finish. We lost Anthony Walker. Okay, he was okay. He was a decent piece, but he was a one-trick pony. He was good. I think he was good in the pass coverage, but that was about it, right? We lost a big leader in Calais Campbell. We lost Kendall Fuller, who was solid. We lost Javon Holland. Didn't we? Was it last year? It was last year we got rid of Brandon Jones. So Brandon Jones, we got rid of him
2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, we got rid of him, and he ends up being one of the top 10 safeties in all of football with the Denver Broncos. We got rid of Deshaun. We got Deshaun Elliott, who was a solid safety. We got rid of him, and he was a solid safety in Pittsburgh, one of the top safeties. Okay, so we've lost a lot of people on defense, and Weaver.
You didn't mention Van Ginkel. How do you?
Oh yeah, and Van Ginkel was the biggest loss.
Wow, shame on
Van Ginkel was the biggest freaking loss. Yeah, I agree.
The best player on that defense, which was Van Ginkel.
I agree with you,
Malloy.
Yeah, I know. I forgot about him, but you're right for sure, 100%. I agree. We lost Van Ginkel as well. Okay, so how are we going to be a better team on defense? Okay, we don't even have a proven defensive tackle. He's a rookie, sure. He was drafted high, second, third round, or whatever, right? But how long did it take Christian Wilkins to develop? 2.5, 3 years. Okay, and now we got two edge rushers that have been hurt the last couple years. And then you got Chop Robinson is the best edge rusher we have on this team right now. And he's going to only get better and improve. Okay, so and then now I'm not even getting to the offense side of the ball. Everybody's counting on Jonnu Savaiinaea. Jonnu Savaiinaea. Okay. What has he done in the NFL? Not a damn thing. And then we got Patrick Paul. What did he do last year? I know, small sample size. He didn't do so hot. Is he gonna replace Terron Armstead and play at his level? No. Terron Armstead was a top 5 tackle last year. Top 5. Okay, yeah, he was injured. He was getting old. I'm glad he's gone, right? But it's a big loss, and he was a leader too of that offense. We lost him. We got another guy, James Daniels, who's coming off an Achilles tendon injury, and he's not all that hyped up to be. He's okay. He's solid. Okay, he had 4 great games. Okay, we don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back, right? And then we got Ollie Gordon. Everybody's talking about Ollie Gordon. Oh man, Ollie Gordon, he's gonna be. We haven't even seen him play an NFL snap yet.
But that goes for all rookies. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. All rookies.
Who's ever
okay,
said
we
they
got
were
how
better?
many rookies do we have that are going to be starting on this team? And you think it's a better roster?
Whoever
It's
said they
gotten
were
old.
better?
It's gotten
Whoever
young.
said
It's
that?
gotten young. It's gotten
Evan
younger.
said that. Evan,
No,
I
I
didn't
did
Evan
not.
said
I said
that.
we're a better roster
It's
today
gotten
than
younger.
we were
It's gotten
yesterday.
younger. Hold
Steve's
on.
yelling at you, not me.
It's gotten younger. Okay, it's gotten younger. And with youngness and youngsters, it comes experience. You got to get experience and get adapted to the speed of the game. Okay, it might take these guys 2 or 3 years to develop. Look, I like the draft. I like the draft picks. That's great for future. But let's not count on Miami to be a Super Bowl contending team this year. I wouldn't even count them as being a playoff team. They may not even win 6 games this year, and we're talking about a better roster. Are you serious?
Steve, calm
Come
down,
on,
buddy.
guys.
Evan, what did
Be
you
real.
do, bro?
By
Get
the way,
for real here.
By the way, you know what the hilarious part about this is I never said they
Jeez.
were better than last year, ever.
You said a better roster. You
I
did
said a
say
better
that.
roster than yesterday.
Okay, better roster than yesterday. I don't even believe that.
Steve Malloy, Steve, you want to know something?
All they did was get one
Steve,
freaking player, and we lost two, and we're a better freaking roster.
You want to know why?
Seriously? Come on, man.
Want to know why?
You guys are gonna get a
You
dose
wanna
of
know why?
reality this year,
No,
man.
Listen to me.
You're gonna get a big dose of reality.
Listen to me. I said they're
I
a
love
better
this.
team than they were yesterday because they got an All-Pro. Ramsey didn't want to be there. Jonnu wanted too much money, and they
I
now
agree
have
with that.
cap
I
space
agree with that.
to go make other trades.
True.
Steve, I know they're not going to do well this year. My number one goal this year, more than the Dolphins winning, is Anthony Weaver as our head coach and Mike McDaniel getting the Gerard Gallant treatment where they has to take a cab back to the airport.
And you know what? I'll go pick him up and take him to the airport.
Exactly. So for me, I made this joke when I played. For me, I don't know what I want more: the Dolphins to win or McDaniel to get fired. So for me, if the team is going to get better, I at least like the fact that they got better today than what I ever expected them to be post the trade of Jalen Ramsey. That is it. They got cap space. Are they a better team than last year? No, but last year's team sucked, and they were not even close to 2023. I believe that Mike McDaniel is the reason why. I believe that we were a playoff team. If I put it to you this way, if Anthony Weaver was the head coach last year instead of Mike McDaniel, we make the playoffs last year, even with the Tua injury. That's how boneheaded I think that moron is. But to get Minkah versus a guy who didn't want to be here and a tight end who wants $12 million, and now you can go get whoever you want, and you can now have cap space to go get 3 or 4 more players versus being cap strapped with $24.5 million and potentially $12 million from Jonnu Smith, and we would have had to have $37 million on the payroll. Now we have $20 million worth of cap space. I'm very content with that. I'm fine with that. Now, if he does nothing with the cap space and doesn't go get a tight end and doesn't go get a cornerback to two veteran corners, then yeah, the team is worse. But it's July 1st, June 30th. He has 2.5 months till the season starts. And I believe that this roster starting this season will be better than last season because you'll have a healthier Tua. You'll have a Chubb who's back. Phillips will be back. You got a Kine, who I think is a better third option. You'll have Minkah there. I believe the team will be better with a second year of Anthony Weaver and a healthier Tua and a motivated Tyreek who knows he was shit last year. So for me, I believe that it depends on what they do personnel-wise now with the cap space because they didn't have it before. Now, Ross is going to let him go spend the money on trades, not free agents, people under contract, not people. And then whoever he goes sign, if he goes sign Xavier Howard or Stephon Gilmore or Rasul Doug, that's going to be $4 or $5 million. It's not even a touch. Whoever he goes get a tight end, it's going to be whatever it is going to be a better player or a better bargain than what Jonnu Smith had or was. He had one good year. And sorry to tell you this, he had 80 receptions for 800 yards. I'd rather lose him and have Tyreek Hill have 1,800 yards versus 1,000 and lose Jonnu Smith. Sorry, I will get more out of my 1,800 yards from Tyreek Hill than I will from my 800 yards from Jonnu Smith.
Well,
I got to bounce. I might join you guys back online in a few minutes. I got to bounce for a few minutes.
All right, brother.
But just wanted to mention that. I'll be back.
All right. Okay, Evan. Thank you, man.
Bye.
Yep. Yeah, he made some good points. I definitely agree with him on the Jonnu thing. I think Jonnu Smith was overrated, to be honest with you. He did well for us, and he did well for us because, like as Evan said, he made some great points. He was taking up for the slack for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And, and that's what I think happened. And I think one of the reasons why, and I'm not making excuses for this Miami Dolphins team. I don't do that. But Tyreek Hill was hurt. He had a wrist injury all last year, okay? And he's a wide receiver. He's got to catch the ball. That's his only job, right? Catching the ball and maybe block every once in a while. And he was injured. So I get that. But to say they were better, I just don't see it, man. I mean, that's just the way I feel. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
So anybody that says the team is better right now is just it's that hopium thing that happens right before a season. You know, right before season, you look at everything they've done, all the players they've signed or traded or drafted or whatever, and you go, oh, this is going to be the year. This is it. Everyone's healthy again, whatever. But then reality hits in and somebody gets hurt, and then we're back to back to round one. What I will say, to be the I hate using that word, but just or the reverse, devil's advocate, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Jonnu Smith, again, even though I think, again, I'm on the side of that I like the trade. Does it make Miami better, whatever? I think Miami got more than what I thought they were going to get. So I like it. That's why I like it. However,
I like the trade too. I get
what you're saying.
Sorry, I like the trade.
You're good.
Okay, I'm not saying it was a bad trade. I'm just saying it's not moving the needle.
It's not like everybody. The needle. No, there's
like not everybody, but a lot of folks think.
Yeah, no, there's no moving the needle right now. There's nothing Miami. If Miami's going to move the needle, they already have the guys in place to do it. The Tyreek Hill trade would have been a move to move the needle. It didn't. It made him the number one offense. He had a great season. Made Tua look really, 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 really good than what he already is. That's the only needle that was moved. There's no move right now Miami could make that's going to move the needle. That comes from within. That's what I'm going to say. There's nobody they could get that's going to change it, unless, somehow they solidify their corner room and get 2 starting caliber or very good corners, their defensive line lives up to the hype or whatever it's going to be, linebackers, and then you go to the offense. Does everybody live up to their reputation? If they do, then Miami's going to move the needle. That's on Miami to move the needle. There's no one right now that could come in that's going to move the needle for the Miami Dolphins. That can only happen if you decide to tear it all down and then start from scratch, with a base core of young guys. Again, and I'll say this, that we found the trade. Again, we'll wait till the season's about to start, and then we could say our final quote unquote predictions. I said 9-8, and I'm still comfortable with 9-8 as the ceiling. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, me too. That's where I'm. Well, I'm actually if I said that if everything goes perfect, right? All these guys that we drafted, the rookies, they play better than expected. The 2 edge rushers, Phillips and Chubb, are even at 90% of what they were, and the offensive line is. That's the thing with me. I'm not this guy saying, we needed a better O-line, but not for the reasons that a lot of people are thinking. Oh, for Tua, so he can have more time. No. Yeah. What I wanted a better offensive line for was so they can move the needle with that running attack, with that running game. That's what I like the O-line for. Because the O-line, as far as pass protection, and Tua said it. He's been to the podium several times and said, hey, I get the ball out fast, brother. I don't think that's going to change. That's not going to change. I'm sorry. That scheme is not going to change. That is the identity of Mike McDaniel.
And go ahead. I'm sorry. What I want to say,
no, you're good.
Because Evan, what he ended with Jonnu, and I do not want to underappreciate what Jonnu Smith is and what he did, because I believe he was a huge part of this offense. It wasn't Tyreek didn't have 1,800 yards, not because of Jonnu Smith. That was because of Tyreek Hill, injury or not. He still quit on the team on the last game of the season, so I'm not giving him any passes. I do know that 100%. Jonnu Smith with Devon Achane are the 2 most consistent, productive players that you can rely on this offense, or they were. Right. That's where my issue was with even thinking about trading Jonnu Smith. I would have extended him for another year and then moved on and did something else. Except you decided that you weren't going to extend him and then leave and then now you have to try to figure out, hey, do we go after Michael Mayer? Well, now there's reports that Vegas does not want to get rid of Michael Mayer. They like their 2 tight end room, which makes sense. Why would you? You have Brock Bowers and then you got Michael Mayer. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. I wouldn't do it. Now Miami is left with Julian Hill, who we haven't seen anything from other than the yellow flags. We know players love him. They speak very highly of him. Let's hope.
Well, Terron Armstead said he was going to have a breakout season, and he's probably the best blocker on the team, one of the best blockers on the team.
Well, Pharaoh Brown is another one too.
Him
Who we
too,
got from
right?
Seattle. But
Yep.
again, now Miami is left with that void. They're trying to figure out how they could fill it now. Do they get comfortable with what they had? We'll see. My thing
Right.
is yes, even though I do like this trade, trading away Jonnu Smith, getting rid of the guy who was probably next to Devon Achane, the most consistent player on this offense, is not a good look for Miami. He had a Pro Bowl year. He was your leading tight end in receptions, yards, and touchdowns in Dolphin team history. Think about all the tight ends Miami has had over the years. Everybody loves to bring up Mike Gesicki all the time. Gesicki. In his 1 year, Jonnu Smith erased Gesicki. Never touched
Gesicki's best. I think Gesicki's best year was like 52 catches, right, or something like that.
So
maybe more.
And he had these. And Jonnu's best year was with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane in that offense. He was when everything broke apart. He was your guy. He was Tua's guy.
Yeah.
He was whoever else was at quarterback, Tyler Huntley. He was always involved, always there. So it is a huge loss to lose Jonnu Smith, 100%. And you basically got a 5th round pick for him. You did a player swap and then a 5th round pick. You got a player swap with Ramsey and Fitzpatrick. You got a draft pick for Jonnu. To me, Miami needs to bring someone in to replace Jonnu. It is a huge loss. I still like the trade because I like what we got back, but I think just because to make us feel better, Dolphin fans, to make Dolphin fans and ourselves feel better about the trade, let's not say, oh, Jonnu was trash, overrated, all this. No, the dude he did his job. He did it well. He earned his money. Miami wasn't willing to pay him. They moved on. Do I think he should have paid him? Absolutely. I think Miami's a better team with Jonnu Smith than without him. Because right now you don't have anybody who's equal to him right now on this roster.
No, true. I agree 100%. But we didn't have anything equal to him in 2023 either. So and we were one of the best offenses in football. We were number 1 offense in football, right? Remember that? So that's why I think that
that's right.
Jonnu Smith. Yeah, that's why I think that Jonnu Smith wasn't a big loss, because I think Miami's going to go back to this. I think they're going to keep the same scheme, but I think they're going to try to incorporate Waddle and Tyreek Hill this year. Just kind of go back to similar as the 2023 season, except with the addition of Achane maybe coming out of the backfield more, and we might even have, if Ollie Gordon works out, we might be able to get that, short yardage and stuff like that. But then again, in 2023, we were top ranked offensive running team as well.
Mm-hmm. And how many playoff games did we win?
That's my point.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So, that team in 23, when the number 1 offense that was going through Tyreek and Waddle, with Raheem Mostert, who was the leading running back. He was right behind Christian McCaffrey. He had a killer year, the best year of his career, 1,800 yards on the ground, I think, or whatever the heck it was. And Jeff Wilson and those guys were killing it. It was firing up. But guess what everybody was saying? Miami needs a tight end. Man, they didn't know how to handle me. We need a tight end.
I remember that.
What did they go?
Yep.
They turn around. They say, okay, we got Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith has a career year. Tyreek decides to take a year off because even though he was on the field playing like ass and acting like an ass off the field, and then quitting on the team like an ass at the last game of the season. And we're, now it's like, oh, well, let's go ahead and not pay Jonnu. I mean, the dude was a respectable guy on one of the best players on the field for the Dolphins, one of the most consistent, a great character guy, a great team leader. The players respected him. The league respects him. I mean, he had one of the best years, but we're going to go ahead and tell him, see you later. We're not going to pay you, but we're going to keep Tyreek. Let's run it back with those guys. Let's be the number 1 offense in football again. What did that get us? Nothing. We started begging for a tight end. We got a tight end. What did we do with him? We traded him. And now we're looking for that. And then again, this is someone I'm playing now. I'm reversing the role here because I like the deal, but I don't think it's a wise move for people to think that, oh, we're better off because, don't worry, we got rid of Jonnu. We're better with Tyreek getting 1,800 yards than we are with Jonnu getting 800.
No.
Not
I
true at
would not
all,
say that. I would
because we
not
didn't
say
win
that at
any
all.
playoff games. We
I
did
wouldn't say that
exactly
at
the
all.
same thing. We did exactly what we did the year before. We didn't win a damn thing with either way. I just know that Jonnu played his ass off. He was leading the league. He was leading the Dolphins as the tight end. And exactly, if it was not used, we're not worried about tight end position. Conyers hopefully makes a splash again, but there's a lot of hope, Raphael, a lot of hope. But again, that's the thing. Before the season, before last year, everyone and their mother were begging for a tight end. We need a tight end on this team. Mike McDaniel doesn't know how to use a tight end. Look what happened with Gesicki. We need a tight end. They go get a tight end.
Well,
he shows out. Now it's like, do we really need a tight end though?
the thing with Gesicki though was he was the same as Jonnu. He wasn't a good blocker at all.
But
what
look at
we
the
need.
numbers. Look what Gesicki did.
I see the numbers.
Jonnu.
Yeah, I got you. But I think what we need on this team is I would much prefer an all-around tight end, somebody that can catch and block.
Yeah,
that's what we really need.
Well, I think Miami is. If there's the problem is that I think Miami now, and that's why I think even though Michael Mayer would be that guy, and I think it would be I think that would be a solid move because he can block and he can catch. He's that dude that would be like a steal. I think the Miami's in the mindset of, I think best of both worlds would be great. But if you can't get best of both worlds, then go ahead and get your receiving tight end, and then those other guy like a Pharaoh Brown. That's your blocking tight end.
Or Julian Hill.
Julian Hill or whomever. Yeah. So I think, but that's why I think you hear like the name Kyle Pitts, and I know whatever his persona is his persona, but as a receiving threat, he is a receiving threat. And, if you look at what Jonnu Smith did in this offense, what could someone like a Kyle Pitts do? So we'll just wait and see. And you know what happens, dude? When we hear names, it ends up not being the name. It'll be some random dude. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, man. Again, it's not boring. It's not boring in South Florida right now, Steve. I mean, again, the Panthers winning the Stanley Cup and sitting idly by letting the world go like crazy with what they're trying to do, and then they go ahead and bring back their three captain. They bring their best players back. Nobody thought they were going to do it. Now look what they're coming back with. Free agency is about to. Free agency I think has started the legal tampering period for the NBA. So obviously I'm watching the Heat. Wow. And then with the Dolphins, I mean, going out and making these moves and setting the league on fire with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Jalen Ramsey, and we'll see what happens as a tight end.
That's what Chris Greer does, man.
I know it. Oh, he can trade all day, dude. He's good at making trades. Does he win the trades? That's the question. That's the flip. I know Evan kept saying he's good at making trades. Yeah, he makes trades all the time.
Good at making trades in what respect? We haven't won a Super Bowl yet.
That's my thing.
We haven't won a playoff
game
yet.
He won the trades. What does
we
that
were
mean?
in cap hell because of those trades.
You could trade all day.
We were in cap hell because of those trades.
I'm saying, I agree. I mean,
right?
So it is always a wait and see. We'll wait and see. We'll look forward to see what Miami does at the tight end position. Steve, are you on tomorrow night?
Yes, I created a show for tomorrow night, Bobby.
Awesome. So if anything goes down, obviously I'm sure you'll be talking more about the Minkah Fitzpatrick deal.
Oh, absolutely.
And if any trade goes down or signing in regards of a tight end, Steve will be there to react. And then what else is going on tomorrow? I believe at lunchtime, we will have College Blitz with Q and Russ Morgan and Will Patrone on there. So that's pretty cool. We'll look to do that. Finstanza was joining us earlier. Hopefully should be back on FTSN shortly. But Steve, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, that's it. I mean, man, I hope it works out with Minkah here in Miami. Of course, I want him to, be that guy back there. And I think he'll perform. I mean, he'll be, hopefully he gets back to his all-pro form. I mean, he was solid last year, but if you compare his, as you did, his numbers to the previous years, it was a down year for him. So maybe he can come back. Maybe he can get back on track, and maybe this is the right move for him here in Miami. But I still don't believe it's going to move the needle as far as us. Where the trajectory that like a lot of people are thinking as far as, oh, we're going to go to the playoffs, we're going to the Super Bowl. I don't
No,
think so.
can't say
Maybe
I
in the
don't see that with
future.
that team.
Yeah, maybe in the future. And again, I like the moves that Chris Gear made as far as the draft picks and things of that nature, but we don't have any proof, man. You know, I'm just not going to be that Dolphin guy that's all right. You know, we got this guy, we got that guy. Remember, it was 2 or 3 years ago, I believe it was. We got Vic Fangio, right? And I said we don't have any evidence that he's going to do anything for this defense, and I was wrong. You know, we're not wrong, but he did do something for this defense, and then we got rid of him. So and then he goes to Philadelphia and they win a freaking Super Bowl. So anyway, no, that's all. That's my final thoughts. I just hope he works out here in Miami. I like the trades, and I still believe that we're really not going to miss Jonnu Smith as much as everybody thinks we are. That's all.
That's all right. So, guys, don't forget to tune in to Real Talk Fins Talk tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time here on FTSN. That's
Thank
Steve
you.
Malloy. I'm Bobby Fins Talk. We appreciate you guys. We'll wait for more breaking news. Again, just to wrap this up, breaking news in regards to the Dolphins blockbuster trade, sending Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Minkah Fitzpatrick, All-Pro Safety, former Miami Dolphin. We drafted him, and also for a 5th-round pick. In regards to the Florida Panthers, Aaron Ackblad, Brad Marchand, and Sam Bennett all extending with the Panthers. They thought that we were going to sign 1 and lose 2. Nope, we sign all 3 back. So running it back in the best way, in the best terms. And an NBA free agency. We'll continue to monitor not just NBA free agency, but of course the Miami Heat. Until then, I'm Bobby. That's Steve. Like and subscribe. And most importantly, Dolphin fans, as always, fins up.